Welcome, everybody, to a special edition of a show that doesn't have a name. I guess I called it Let's Talk About It. I don't want to get sued by PW Insider for We Don't Need No Stinking Name. That wouldn't be fun. I'm Jeremy Lambert. You are on Fightful Overbooked. If you're here, leave us a thumbs up on the video, leave a comment, leave a super chat. You do that. That's always fun. We love the super chats. Get your question, comment, statement read on air. It is WrestleMania week. It's the biggest week of the year, so I've been told. Last year, it was stupendous. I don't know what it is this year. Monumentous, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. It's something. It's something in the world of WWE and the world of wrestling. I got a lot to talk about. I missed the spotlight last week. Had some personal stuff going on, as people who follow me on Twitter know. But everything is fortunately very good. Everything's good, and things are going to be okay. So I'm back this week covering the fun week of WrestleMania week. But there was a lot to talk about that kind of missed last week, namely CM Punk kind of going on Instagram and quickly deleting his comments on Instagram. So he burned some bridges. We're going to be joined by, I guess I say we as in a collective, us, all of us here on the Fightful Overbooked community. Going to be joined by Kate and Phil. Kate from about every other show on this channel that you see. Phil from, of course, Grapsody, Saturdays at noon Eastern here on the channel. I'm going to be talking about CM Punk and AEW and that whole situation with myself. That's going to be at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, here about a half hour from now. At 2 p.m. Eastern, Mike from Indeed. Indeed is live Wednesday evenings at 6 o'clock here on Overbooked. Mike from Indy is going to be joining me to talk about the week in independent wrestling for WrestleMania week. It's the biggest week of the year for independent wrestling, arguably the biggest show of the year with Joey Janela's spring break. We are going to be talking to Mike about the week of independent wrestling coming up. And then at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, we'll be joined by my good pal SP3, who you know on this channel from FMC or from True Kill Heat or from various other places doing writings and stuff. But SP3 is going to be joining me to talk about WrestleMania 39. So plenty to talk about here on this show. Ryan asked, will Lambs be making WrestleMania predictions? I hope so. I had plans to, so we're going to peel back the curtain a little bit because I don't want to get into too much of the topical stuff until I'm joined by my guests here. So to peel back the curtain a little bit, I was going to record like the actual Lambs stuff this past weekend. Stuff came up this past weekend, and so I didn't get a chance to record any of it. And now I'm into the fire with just how busy the actual week of WrestleMania week is. So I'm going to try to do something with Lambs and doing some type of WrestleMania predictions with the Lambs. But it's all about time management. And, since Thursday to yesterday, I haven't had a whole lot of time to focus on wrestling and worry about that kind of stuff. So I'm making the best of these situations here. If you're looking for Tag Talk today, Haley and Kylie are taking the week off. Everything is well there. They will be back next week. Haley will be back next week. I know Kylie's been having a lot of different guests and everything, but Haley will be back next week. Tag Talk, 3 p.m. Eastern on Monday. They will be talking all the fallout from WrestleMania. Ryan, appreciate you, Ryan. It was a scary moment on Thursday morning when I got that phone call and then driving to North Carolina and then getting to the hospital, and doctor said it was touch and go, which not something you want to hear. He said touch and go for the next 24 hours. And he said the next 24 to 48 hours are critical. Fortunately, and thank you to everybody. Fortunately, he pulled through and he's doing much better. And it's going to be a long recovery, long road of recovery, but he's here and that's what matters. So yeah, it was a weekend. I'm looking forward to this week to get my mind away from that, knowing that he's doing well now. Thanks Pro Wrestling Podcast, and hope you're doing well, man. I saw you were at the you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, a couple of things. You were at the AEW House Rules. I wish I'd gone to that show now, because I it's about 3 hours away from me, but Still could have made that drive. But I wish I had known that, because I would have gone and we would have hung out. The original CM Punk source, the Pro Wrestling Podcast. Sean sent me to do another article because he commented on the Dax post with Steve Kearn's book. So I did that article. I think Wednesday night is when that comment came out. So yeah, the only CM Punk source you can trust is the Pro Wrestling Podcast Instagram page. That's the only CM Punk source that you can trust. Did I watch BTE to see how they did Will's son dirty by showing him miss a shot? I did not, but I saw Will message that or tweet that. Should I invite Will? I'll invite Will and see if he wants to talk about it briefly. So there's no concept for this show. There's sort of a format, but I'm going to continue to peel back the curtain. And thank you, Mike. Thank you, Taylor, for the good wishes on my dad and Pro Wrestling Podcast as well. He's doing well, and fingers crossed it stays that way. I'll send this message to Will Washington. He can do a run-in on my show for once. To continue to pull back the curtain on this, I did during my drive. Listen to a lot of sports talk radio. That's what I like to listen to during drives. I like to listen to a lot of podcasts, sometimes music, but largely just a lot of podcasts to catch up on, and sports podcasts, because I spend all of my day listening to wrestling podcasts and wrestling interviews. So it's nice to actually listen to other stuff that I'm interested in, like the NBA and NHL. So I listen to a lot of sports talk podcasts. And my favorite show is the Dan Patrick Show. And I always wondered if that concept could work in the world of wrestling. I know Busted Open does their show, and they do a great job. Shout out to Denise Salcedo getting the job at Busted Open every Saturdays. Busted Open does a great job, and I really admire that they do a 3-hour wrestling show every single day. That's tough. I always wondered if there was more room for that in wrestling, and just put it on YouTube and just kind of have it be a radio show format, but you don't have the restrictions of, you would obviously want ads and stuff, but you don't have restriction of commercial breaks and things like that. So I always wondered how that would work. And I thought that there's so many people in the world of wrestling, and I'm talking just the content creators that are out there, independent wrestlers, AEW, WWE. There's so many people in the world of wrestling. And what I love about these sports talk shows is oh, hey, college basketball is going on. Let's have a college basketball expert on the show to talk about March Madness. The NFL draft is coming up. Let's have an NFL expert coming on the show. Because a lot of times in our pro wrestling bubble and everything, we want to try to cover everything. We want to be plugged into everything, but I'm not plugged in to certain stuff. And some people have expertise in other areas that their voices should be heard a little bit more. So I thought of that concept. Doing it daily seems very, very tough. It's not even an original concept or anything. It's sports talk radio. But I thought it was just going to be cool to maybe do something like that at some point down the line of hey, who's a big CM Punk person since that's the news. And that's why I reached out to Phil and Kate, who is big in the independent. And Mike actually reached out to me because I was looking for guests. And I was yes, this is actually perfect, Mike. Come on, talk indie wrestling with me. And then WWE, kind of everybody covers that. And I reached out to SB3 because I like SB3. So that's kind of how that came up. But ROH, people just covering ROH, the history of ROH, just history of wrestling in general. It's again, not an original concept. It's a daily sports talk wrestling show, I guess. It's something I might play around with in the future. This is almost a dry run of things. Louis says, I want a Levitard type show mocking of a daily hot take wrestling show so bad. I mean, I'd probably do a lot of that. I think people know that I'm not very serious when it comes to the world of professional wrestling. I just tweeted that WrestleMania is going to end with CM Punk and FTR coming out to confront Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens. That's how WrestleMania is going to end. Everybody, get ready for it. People take me serious on this stuff. People are oh, yeah, no, the contracts. They can't actually do that. Have you heard of these things called contracts? Yeah, I have. I don't care about them. Pro wrestling contracts are written on napkins. Wait, that's only one company, not all. Sorry. That's only a certain company or two. It's not every single company. Yeah, I know about contracts. Everybody, I understand that's not going to happen. Just throwing ideas out there. Just throwing ideas out there. See, I wouldn't want to do it as like a solo thing because stuff is tough. Like it's really tough to do. That's why I would want my guests and everything on. I need like Caden on just so I could bully him the entire time. I feel like that would be good if I could just have Caden on every week or every day to bully. I think that dynamic could work. At least I have someone then to interact it and play off with. But yeah, I don't think I'm very good as like a solo type thing. That's why I like talking to the chat. Like I'm glad you guys are here and sending messages because otherwise I don't know what I would be talking about for these 30 minutes while I wait for guests to come on. So yeah, I would want a secondary person or two to just kind of banter back and forth with. It would make interviews a lot easier too. I'm thinking because Cowherd's got like whoever he had Christina Lehigh for a little bit, right? So she was there for a little bit. I watched a lot of Mike and Mike growing up. So I think of them, even Dan Patrick has, the Danettes, Levitard has his people. Everybody has like McAfee has his people. Like it's solo, but you got just other people there with you to kind of banter and play off of. And I feel like that's definitely what I would need because an actual solo podcast, very, very tough. Alex Pulowski is God among men for doing that show as long as he did, just solo reviewing like NXT and all the shows that he did, because I could not do a solo podcast. So that's why, again, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys in the chat. I feel you 1000%. I tell everyone to watch any episode of Ending, but stay away from the ones I did solo. I just recorded this in my bedroom, which is ironic because now I record in my bedroom. When I was after college, I would just do like a podcast from my bed, and it was terrible. Like it was absolutely terrible. Just content and audio. And I was a lot younger, a lot less experienced than I am now, and talking like college football and stuff. And that's not my expertise at all. But like I wanted to do something. This is always kind of what I wanted to do. So I would just, talk about that kind of stuff. And it wasn't the best. Yeah, the solo shows, they're tough. Alex says he doesn't know if he could go back to a solo now. It's tough, especially once you have someone that you're comfortable doing the shows with and everything. All right, I'm going to send this link to Will Washington first, Katie, but then I'll bring you on just to see if I want to, if I can just bury you the entire time and see how that dynamic works. Let's send this to Will and see if he wants to defend his kid from AEW. People have requested you to defend BTE editing, or to, I guess they're not defending the editing, requested you to bury BTE editing. There we go. Okay. I just the StreamYard, which was not what I meant to do, but that's okay. All right, Caden, I'll send you this link, and you need to know your role, Caden, and your role is to sit here and just kind of make comments every now and again, and then I say mean things to you. That's your role. Stand up for Billy is what needs to happen. That's why Will Washington needs to come on here. All right, let's see how all of this rolls. And again, this was very put together last second, but I appreciate everyone tuning in. I appreciate my guests for jumping on last second as well. Hey, there's Will Washington. How you doing, buddy?
Good. About to do dishes.
Oh, see, I'm getting you out of dishes for a minute or two. So you're welcome.
Yeah, probably. They're piled up though. So at some point I probably really have to do those.
Oh, when you got kids, you know how it is. The dishes just, you can't go a day and then they're all dirty. And then you got to do that. You got to do dishes like hourly, it feels like.
At least 3 times a day.
Yeah, at least. Well, how you doing? I apologize that I missed Day After Dynamite. I hope it was a great show. And I wanted you on here because...
you didn't ambush Joel Pearl. I thought that was, of all people,
Well, I don't know if you saw Will, but my dad wasn't doing well, and so I actually had to make a very very quick trip to North Carolina, like very unplanned trip to North Carolina to be with him because they were very worried about him. So yeah, I didn't have time to ambush Joel Pearl.
Hope all is good now then.
All is well, which is very good to hear. But it was scary hours for a couple days last week. Will defend your son Billy and bury BTE editing because they made him look like he can't shoot out here.
Yeah. So he made okay. So obviously he didn't win at horse. That was won by Jade Cargill, but he made, I think, like 2 or 3 shots, but they only showed the one shot that he absolutely missed. And I get why. It was because it was immediately followed by Brandon Cutler's attempt, and Brandon Cutler, falls on his face. Ha, ha, ha. It's Brandon Cutler stuff. And so you see Billy make his shot, and then he misses, and then Brandon Cutler attempts, and then he misses. And so there's really no reason to show why he didn't make it, but I felt like, no, my son, he's in basketball camp every summer. This is a kid who plays basketball.
At the next AEW show you go to, I don't know, what's the next one you're going to? Forbidden Door? Double or Nothing?
Double or Nothing's the next one.
Okay. So at Double
next
or Nothing,
one my kids will be at is a random Dynamite in June. I think it's June, I want to say 9th, maybe?
Okay. It's better if the kids are there. This is actually a much better thing to do. Okay. So the Dynamite in June, go backstage, kick in the Elite door. You got to kick it in. And you got to be like, apologize to my kid right now for the way you treated him on the March 27th episode of Being the Elite. That's what you got to do. You point to Omega. You say Kenny. You say Nick.
What if there's a dog behind one of the doors, though?
We're not worried about that. Clearly nobody's worried about that. That's what you got to do. You got to kick in the door with the 4-4 saying, and they're going to say, Will Washington, don't hurt me no more.
It's a good Biggie reference. Thank you.
Thank you. I know a little bit, not much, but I know a little bit. Well,
I appreciate that.
Throw a chair. You gotta call these people out, otherwise they won't know.
We have to get hit with the chair if it's to be accurate. But either way, no, he did a good job and he had fun. Honestly, I do say that those AEW charity events are they're fun. And kind of knowing that things are going to a good cause. If you ever see, because they're put on by Caitlin Borden, who is Sting's daughter-in-law. She is the head of AEW Together, and then also Amanda Huber has been pretty much with that department since it opened, and they're always putting those events together. I know they've got some stuff planned that I'm not going to spoil for them for Double or Nothing weekend. But if you were at the last Double or Nothing, you should kind of know what to expect.
You do? Is it going to be another concert? I guess you can't spoil it. But
nah, I won't say what any of it is, but they've got a cool
scoops community here.
They've got a cool community event that they're putting on. Yeah, there's other scoops about Double or Nothing weekend that, again, not going to spoil, but it's like $5 content. I can't do that.
DM me so I can pre-write the story, okay? I stay ahead of the game. That's how I stay in this job. If you're either one step ahead or you're 5 steps behind, Will, you know this.
Yeah, probably.
Well, do you want to plug anything? Thank you for coming on to Barry BTE. That's going to be the headline out of this show right here.
I mean, I have a lot going on because this is WrestleMania week, and so I will be co-hosting the WrestleMania post shows on Fightful this weekend. I will also be. We've got Ask Grapsody this Thursday. I don't know when it is, but it's going to be on Fightful Select. So subscribe to Fightful Select. You'll know when Ask Grapsody is. Got Grapsody this weekend, and then working on doing a hybrid of two. I've got Day After Dynamite, by the way. This technically depends on where you are, Wednesday night, because it's Dad After Dark. And then I'm traveling to LA, going to do a hybrid show, hopefully, of 2 of my main podcasts, but working on getting some of my co-hosts committed to that. And so hopefully all should be good. But doing a whole lot of podcasts this week.
Good. Stay busy, Will Washington. Very few people work harder than you. I think maybe the only person who does are also just part of this Fightful team. And one is your co-host every Sunday. She's the only person that works harder than any of us.
Oh yeah, and she's, by the way, she's not the one who's not committed to the show that we're trying to plan. If anything, it's her idea. So she's the one that's in.
There you go. Everyone follow Will on Twitter. Everyone watch Grapsody. I don't think I have the Twitter banners up. I'm sorry. This is a very unprofessional show. Very unprofessional. Will, thank you. Thank you for coming on very short notice. Enjoy doing the dishes. And I was excited. Is he flipping the camera around or just freeze? I didn't know if you were flipping the camera to show your dishes. That would be great content.
I mean, I guess I can. Like I said, it's like really piled up. Like I got a lot to do here.
Oh, that looks like our house. Yeah. The dishes, they pile up with the kids. Will, thank you again, buddy. I'll see you on Day After Dynamite After Dark. I'm sure I'll make a run in this week.
Thanks, Jeremy. Peace.
Thanks, buddy. Bye. All right. That was Will Washington, everybody. Caden is here for like 5 seconds to get buried. Why has everybody got these on their phone settings? What are you doing?
I'm on campus today.
Doing what?
I have a class in like 30 minutes.
Great. You're already fired. This is awful, Caden. You are already fired.
You told me I had a role I had to play, Jeremy, so I'm waiting for you.
Yeah, Joel Pearl says sound is awful. Cut him off. What kind of Mickey Mouse microphone are you using?
My AirPods.
You don't even have AirPods in. Do you have AirPods in?
Yes, I do. It's right here.
Oh, your microphone still sounds awful. This is a terrible operation we're running. Great chat, Caden. All right. Glad Caden could pop in to do nothing. Mike says, when you have kids, your dishes and laundry increase instantly threefold. 100% does. The wife and I feel like that's like half of our day is just dishes and laundry. Otherwise, I don't know how we get anything else done. And then for some reason, even though we spend half of our day doing dishes and laundry, we still don't have clothes and we still don't have anything to eat off of. It makes absolutely no sense. Absolutely no sense of what goes on once you have kids and everything. Right. I hope everyone calls in on their phone. They might, given how short notice that I gave everybody might just be, Mike, are you going to be on your phone? Mike, his back is hurting him. So he might be on his phone when he calls in. Given the short notice that I gave everybody might just be on their phones. All right. I'm going to send this link to Kate and Phil. This is a wildly unprofessional show so far, which would be exactly what it is if I, for some reason, turn this into a daily show, which I don't want to do, but I'm very dumb with my ideas and it might end up happening at some point. All right. Go. Oh, I've popped the kids. Oh, kids are, I got to watch my mouth now. I was about to say something and I had to watch myself. All right. The link has been sent to Phil. The link has been sent to Kate. They are going to talk about CM Punk as he lit the world on fire last week with his Instagram comments that he quickly deleted. Look at I'm throwing that up on screen. I'm always told, be nice to Joel Pearl. Be nice to Joel Pearl. That's my impression of my wife. I'm going to get hit for that impression. Be nice to Joel Pearl. No, this is why I'm not nice to Joel Pearl. He's terrible. My favorite bit was I was recording with Joel one day. And when the kids comes in, I was like, hey, do you remember Joel from the wedding? They're like, nope, don't do it all. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Not really that memorable. Another kid comes in. It's like, hey, do you remember Joel Pearl from the wedding? That's who I'm doing the show with. And kid's like, nope, don't remember him. I was like, yeah, makes sense. Not memorable at all. So Kids don't know who Joel Pearl is. I guess that's why he wants them to bury him, because wants me to bury them because they buried him. And remember, why does your impression of your wife sound like lambs? That's not true at all. That's very mean. That's mean. Listen here, Joe Perel. Do not smack talk me on my own show. All right, Joe Perel. Is that how I can say it? Is that like Canadian enough to say it right there? Ryan says, I'm now picturing Jeremy's wife doing a lamb segment, and that would be amazing. I could pull that off. I could have her do a lamb segment. Maybe. She didn't message me and be like, I'm not agreeing to this at all. Oh boy. We have an audience that yeah, I will use the DMs against you. Anything DM to me in this context will be used against you. If you DM me scoops so I can pre-write the story, I will not use that against anybody. I will just pre-write the story because I protect my sources and my DMs that are out there. Phil Lindsey is here. Phil Lindsey is here to talk about CM Punk and all that has gone on with CM Punk and AEW. Phil, thanks for joining me on short notice. I appreciate it. How are you doing, buddy?
I don't know. I was feeling pretty good about that Lakers loss yesterday / Bulls win. Both are celebratory moments.
What is happening here? Why are you here? You didn't get an invite.
How was I not invited?
I'm trying
How was I not invited?
I'm trying
How
to
was
do
I not
a
invited?
daily wrestling show, Sean, with guests, with like a format and stuff.
Dozens of people are just on the edge of their seat right now, Jeremy. Thank God you have Phil here. Thank God you have Phil here.
I got Phil. I got Mike from Indeed. I got SP3 coming on. We got
you got Sean Ross Sapp right now too.
Yeah, just
if I knew Phil was about to hop on here, I wouldn't have rudely interrupted. But
yeah, so
Will Washington came on to show his dishes off. With just amazing.
Wow.
Content.
Yeah, I don't know.
Go ahead, Phil.
I was just gonna say I don't know, man. I think people might have to admit I was right about this. Turning this into I am a Braun hater, so you don't have a point here. No, I have a point about the way that they've handled this injury. The way they've covered it is weird, and you guys know it's weird, but you can't admit it because it's me that's saying it. I'm right, and I know that I'm right.
Phil is here supposed to talk about
usually
CM Punk.
Right.
He's like, you know what? Let me just bury LeBron James for a second.
Well, I mean, it's not even so much I'm burying him. I'm just saying, like, the way they've covered this injury is very strange.
I mean,
is it not?
He was hurt. He was. Sean just blocked Caden. He sent us a super chat.
Yeah, listen, I'm not. I don't get. I don't like the. I'm gonna say the unpopular opinion thing or be rude thing when Caden is like, guys, it's really affecting my mental health that you guys fake pick on me a lot. Now he does that in our chat all the time. Get wrecked, Caden. Hit the bricks, buddy. Phil was trying to make a point here. Don't be rude.
Speaking of foot injuries that are not legit, do you like that transition?
Oh, I'm bye.
That's professionalism right there. Kate is here. Hello, Kate.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. How are you? Thanks for joining on short notice.
Welcome. Chicago Phils are running wild, I hear.
Yeah.
I don't like the speculation that you're trying to infer that an upstanding Phil from Chicago would fake a foot injury.
I actually don't think he was faking this.
What happened with Phil Jackson? Is he okay?
Do you think Phil Jackson has a foot injury as well? Do all Phils in Chicago just get foot injuries at the same time?
Listen, the man is like 75, and he's how tall? Like 6'8". His feet hurt. His feet.
He's doing so much peyote, he doesn't care. Like he's just numb to it all.
Shout out to Phil Jackson, another Phil that was right about LeBron James.
Sean, what did you come on here for? Do you actually have like?
Well, you were here by yourself, so I thought I would class the joint up. But now I
knew what I was doing. This is again a well conceptualized show. I appreciate you looking out for me. I do.
Okay.
I do appreciate that.
Okay.
I mean, it's become less conceptualized since I've just had random run-ins from you, but otherwise it was.
I mean, it's a
going
show
okay.
at 1:30 in the afternoon. I know people think that I don't know what people think I do all day, but I'm usually here working.
Working.
More than I can
Working.
say for Friday night.
I did just go to the mall. That happened.
Did you get anything?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you get?
Well, I'm not going to give away my fashion secrets on the air, okay?
Well, I don't know if you had a sweet sneaker haul of any sort.
No, honestly, I think I've bought all the good sneakers from the Remix store that's in the mall, but I got these a while back. Let me.
Show feed on air, Sean. That'll boost the numbers.
Yeah.
Now he's got to paywall that. Come on. And wrestling fans are weird.
Come on, I ain't doing it. Well, when Denise is on the air and we're talking about her wiki feet, do you have a wiki feet yet?
Who, me?
You ain't asking me.
I would have loved if Phil answered and was like, "Yeah, of course I do. Don't be ridiculous."
No,
But,
I like to monetize too much. I'm not giving that away for free. Come on.
Goodbye.
Bye, Sean.
Bye, Sean.
All right, this was a well conceptualized show. I promise everybody. Now we have Phil talking LeBron, and then in an hour from now, SP3 is going to join us, and he's just going to respond to Phil.
This was all SP3's fault because he tried to jump on a tweet from yesterday and call me a hater. Like,
Phil,
no, this looks away.
Phil, what are you doing tomorrow at 9:30?
Probably packing.
No, that sounds boring. Come on, FMC tomorrow. If you're in the chat, I'll send you the link. You can argue with SP3 about LeBron, and I can do nothing but laugh. All right, let's talk about what we're here to talk about, and it's Chicago Phil.
Let me talk to you.
CM Punk. He decided to just go on Instagram on Thursday night after. I don't know what happened on Thursday night that prompted all of this after Meltzer posted on his message board that Punk sent a legal letter and didn't want to do the job and everything. And then Punk replied of like, actually, here's what happened. I never watched Rocky 3. John Mox's idea sucked. John didn't want a job to me. By the way, Rocky 3 sucks. I'll never watch that either. I did business because Tony told me to. I wasn't actually cleared for this match, but I still did it. This is the last time I put my health in front of a company. Also, Chris Jericho's a stooge, and he sucks too. Did I miss anything? And Dave Meltzer's a liar. I think I got everything that was covered there. And CM
for
Punk's,
that one.
And
the HBK sex came the day after.
Which
that one was way more interesting to me, to be honest. I really don't care who's jobbing to who's got an ego backstage. I want the romantic details of CM Punk and HBK sex life. He's out here talking about what a Bret Hart guy he is. Meanwhile,
he's gonna take HBK's Shawn Michaels power from him by doing all this. He's gonna humiliate him to make Bret look better. That was the whole point of that. Okay, try to keep up. Phil, what were your first thoughts when you saw these CM Punk Instagram comments?
I immediately thought it was hilarious that this thing was up for 2 minutes, and then I saw it like 1,000 times on my timeline to the point that I never wanted to see it again. This guy he kills me because he'll have a valid point about something. Have a very valid point about something, but he'll choose to do it and express it in such a strange way. It's like, why? And why this blog post of all things, this message board post? Like, why are you responding to that? Like, out of all of the stuff that's been said about him since September, why is this thing? Well, I do know why, but it just feels like
spill it right here.
It does feel weird. Well, my takeaway from it of why he did that is that this felt like it was over and done with. This was the part that nobody was talking about. Like, if we had moved on to why did he do all that stuff in the Gripe Bomb and why did he do all that stuff in the Scrum, nobody was talking about the Mox build. So why are we going back and relitigating that now when I did business? Like, why are you trying to throw old stuff in there now to make me look bad?
Yeah, that's what Dave attempted to do, and I guess did behind a message board, because Dave never reported this in the Observer. He never said anything on the radio show, as far as I know. It was Paywall Dave just putting it on the message board, and Punk obviously saw it and is like, okay, well, I'm gonna call this out because
I
this is
don't believe he
my
saw it
truth
either.
of
I don't believe he
everything.
saw it either. I believe somebody sent that to him.
Well, I saw it in that respect, is what I mean. I don't think he's actually on the Wrestling Observer message board going through everything here, but he clearly saw it as someone sent it to him, and that's how.
Yeah, he's logging in as Harley Race 2555666.
It'd be great if Punk is just scouring. The fact that this man is posting on Pro Wrestling Podcast Instagram page, like every time they post something, like I think he might be a little bit more online than we give him credit for. I don't think he's on the Observer messages board, but shout out to Pro Wrestling Podcast. Their Instagram page only has but so many followers, and yet Punk, this is the source he goes to keep up with the hot goss online.
No,
Kate, what was your first thoughts? I'll go ahead, Phil.
I was going to say, no, he sees a lot of stuff. I'm sure he does.
Kate, what was your first thoughts when you saw this Instagram post?
It was just a bummer. Like I feel like this is the second time where he's had a valid point, and it's like the medium's the message thing, right? Like just the way to address certain things. This ain't it. And it's just frustrating too from the perspective of like, I'm sure he thinks wrestling media as a blanket is an issue. So he's not going to go share his side of the story through wrestling media. Like, I don't think he sits there and is like, well, Dave did this, but Sean does this, and whatever. Like, I think he's probably like, this is wrestling media's fault. I'm not going to go give an interview and explain my side of the story. I'm going to put something out. The way he posted and took it down made me feel like he was like that was in his drafts and he just posted it by accident or something and then took it down so bad.
He
knew what
he knew what he was doing. He was doing.
But you know, like I do it all the time and probably should do it more, but of like things that I'm like, I draft it and then I think about whether I should hit send on it or not. I feel like that was one that like should have stuck in the drafts. Yeah. And like he could have put out something that was a little bit more careful. But it just sucks because like if what he said is true, he's got a right to be pissed, or at least an understandable point of view on the situation. But he said a lot of things probably in the press conference that had an understandable point of view, but just always the way you go about it is important. But also like, how have you not seen Rocky?
So I had two thoughts immediately too when I read this. I was like, okay, I knew this because I knew the Rocky thing because I made a point about it on our podcast. That's just one thing. But I kind of had a feeling that he didn't have the greatest feelings about having to come back and work that match before the pay-per-view. And I don't know if you remember the press scrum. I asked him, I said, hey, what was the difference between your injury in that match and it seemed like it hindered you in that match and the match at the pay-per-view? And if you go back and watch and look at Tony Khan's face when I asked that question, it's very telling. Just go back and watch it. Look at Tony Khan's face when I asked the question. And if you remember, Punk no-sold the question. He jumped and he gave that Danhausen story about the shoes. And that leads to my point that I feel like he felt like, oh, well, that's over and done with. And he, if you remember as well, he said very nice things about Mox in that press conference as well. So I think he felt like this was done. It's over. I did business. It's over with. And I think that's why he was so mad about it. It was like, yo, why are we still talking about this? Like, why are we going back to that? I clearly worked hurt. Nobody knows that part. But, well, quote unquote hurt. I worked not cleared. Nobody knows that part. And people are trying to make it out to be, I didn't want to lose. That's not the problem here. Now, of course, he shouldn't have put out that other part either, that, you know, I laughed at somebody refusing to lose to me. You don't have to overshare, Punk. You don't have to overshare.
See, it seemed like him and Moxley got along fine. They did the tag team match together against FTR in that one time. And then they worked. There was a lot of worked shoot comments in their promos building up to it. The match that happened in Cleveland, which I was at. Great bit that they just squashed CM Punk in 3 minutes so John Moxley
I
could
loved
win
it.
and unify the titles. And then that whole booking never made sense. I know you love that promo in Chicago, Phil. That booking never made sense to me. I thought it was very dumb. I don't understand why they did it. And clearly, Punk didn't understand it either because maybe
Have
if
you
you'd seen Rocky 3,
is
I
the real
have seen
question.
Rocky.
Okay.
I think the booking made sense in the sense that they didn't want to just write Mox's time as champion off after what he had done for the company after Punk went away, with him just going straight to the pay-per-view and losing. I think they wanted to give him something, to give him a big win, to establish him as the champion going into the pay-per-view. That was the only thing I could think of the entire time. And in that respect, I liked it because, are you kidding me? The way Mox talked shit about this guy after he beat him, him jumping in the camera and go, "Oh, what did you think was going to happen?" All that stuff was great. I enjoyed all of that.
Do you think that? Oh, go ahead, Kate.
I was just gonna say, I think they were getting so much. There was a lot of, we'll call it the discourse. All right, vignettes, whatever. There was a lot about the interim championships too, and what I actually appreciated about that angle was, one, nobody thought it was going to happen, so I always appreciate when that happens. Two, it kind of made the interim champion feel real instead of the tied over to the real champion, which was a lot of what kind of the criticism was around it. So I appreciated that, and that it made the interim championships feel like real champions and not, we're just waiting for a storyline for this guy to come back or this woman to come back. So I appreciated that about it, but it was definitely weird. I could understand why someone would have an issue with it. It makes sense.
Do you think that he mentioned Moxley because he believes Moxley told this to Dave? Because we kind of know who Dave talks about or talks to. Like, he'll print exactly what Kenny Omega emails him about Final Fantasy lore and his entrance music and everything without cleaning that up at all. There was stuff when I think Renee had COVID. It was very, very clear that like it kind of came directly from Moxley. So do you think he kind of threw Moxley in all of this kind of unprompted, unnecessarily, because he thinks, oh, this is what Moxley told him, and now I'm going to fire back in this way by throwing Moxley underneath the bus to Dave's post? What do you think, Phil?
No, because
okay,
if there's anything we know about this guy, if he has a problem with somebody, he'll just say it. And I think the fact that he made a clear distinction with who he was calling a liar and who he called a stooge in there, I think that in his own weird way, he doesn't think that he was coming at Mox wrong. I think he thinks he was just stating the fact. Now, of course, I don't think Mox feels the same way probably reading that, but I think he really thinks in his mind, like, nah, I didn't have a problem with Mox. I did business. What's the problem?
That's fair. I mean, I realize it's trying to get into the head of CM Punk and based on sort of what we know with who Meltzer talks to. What do you think, Kate? Do you think, because we know CM Punk has issues with these people are talking to this person, and that's how these rumors get started. Do you think he has any inkling that Moxley might talk to Dave and the information came directly from John, and that's why he threw John in there like he did?
Look, I don't mean to be a scoopster, but if I know anything in this world, it's that Dave Meltzer and John Moxley have done improv together. So, I think I kind of read it like Phil did, especially with how quickly he took it down. Like, he's also not one to back off of things that he feels like are, like, he's not one to apologize for things unless he really feels like he did something wrong. To me, the fact that he took that down, I read it as he thought he was telling his side of the situation and then probably realized, I think Jericho was definitely an intentional shot, but
yes.
Jericho also called him a locker room cancer, we know, right? So he probably doesn't really care about that. But I do think it's very possible he thought he was telling his side of the story, and then when he realized how that made other things look, he took it down. I think that's a very feasible possibility.
Is there anyone besides Renee Paquette that can salvage this situation, Kate?
No, but I believe that about most situations.
Fair. Honestly, fair.
She's
Moxley's
struggling.
gonna be on the sessions tomorrow. Renee tweeted that John was. Oh yeah, yes. So be up bright and early listening to that. Oh, go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, friend of mine sent me a message, and I knew he was going to be on there. And I asked him, I was like, "Did you ask him? Does he like Rocky movies?" I didn't get a response to that text.
I hope Renee does ask that. So, seen any good Rocky movies lately? That's how the conversation should start. Actually, they should just start it of just Renee being like, so we watched Rocky 3 last night and just go on from there. And then John gives his whole review of Rocky 3. Phil, I don't know where you were as far as CM Punk coming back to AEW in the time that has passed since All Out, but now we have this new fire that Punk has started. By the way, bless CM Punk that this man, he does not go in there and just like, oh, let me tell you where the fire is and everything. That man goes in there with the full Molotov cocktail, throws it in there, walks away, comes back, pours the gasoline, throws another Molotov cocktail, and then walks away.
Darkest days.
I love that he goes full scorched earth. He ain't holding nothing back. He's just going full scorched earth on it. If you're gonna do it the right way, right? Phil, again, I don't know where you were after All Out and the time has passed, but where are you now as far as maybe CM Punk will come back to AEW?
Boy, this has been a roller coaster because I heard from like the week after he was gone. Like this was everybody I talked to. It made it seem like this guy is gone. For like a good few months, I was like, yeah, he's probably gone, and I was pretty much starting to cope with it. Then it just seems like people are coming around. This guy all of a sudden started being outside again and being social again. I was like, yeah, it seems like he's making the moves to come back. I think he's coming back, guys.
Really?
That's
Still
for me.
after this?
Mhm.
Oh, I love your
because
optimism.
because well, this isn't optimism because the guy that makes the decision still hasn't said anything.
That's where, Kate, let me get your thoughts on CM Punk potentially coming back and where you stand on it now, and then we will have a discussion about the Tony Khan factor and all of this.
I really don't know. I thought there was definitely a possibility that he would, because it was interesting to see narratives change. It was like, this guy ain't coming back. And then there started to be this like, oh, locker room brawls happen all the time, blah, blah, blah. Like I worked in PR for a decade, so I'm always like listening to these things. There were so many situations of like, oh, people always have backstage fights. Like you saw things start to pivot a little bit, whether that was intentional or not. There was a lot of minimizing it all of a sudden a couple months ago. So it feels kind of silly. It feels like an Instagram story. Like this in a vacuum, I don't think would be a thing that keeps someone from coming back, but this on top of his past issue, because it's almost the same issue of like, why are you doing this in this extremely public fashion? Does kind of make it feel that way. At the same time, it sounds like Meltzer was kind of like apologizing for the way he went about things this morning. I don't know if this is being viewed internally as, why is wrestling media stoking the fires instead of the other way around? But I really, really don't know, because it doesn't feel like this should be something that would put someone out. But at the same time, is it like, is this kind of just the straw that broke the camel's back is kind of the question here.
Did you
Oh, go ahead, Phil.
Did you guys see Meltzer this morning at all? I read the transcript of it. I didn't see it.
Yeah, I read it. Trevor Dame did a great job recapping stuff. I give a shout out to him. I read that he basically apologized for reporting the story, which I don't know.
But he didn't report anything. It was a message board post.
Right, but you know how people are with Dave's comments and everything. I don't even think anybody any aggregation sites ran with that of Dave did this. It was legitimately just Punk saw it.
The fans
got it sent to him. Yeah. And Punk saw it, got it sent
fans.
to him. And then fans suck. They're all terrible.
Yeah, it's messed up because I get why he would feel bad, because I do feel like this is one of those things where you brought up something that was over with, and nobody was talking about it. It's not even so much that people were not talking about negative stuff with Punk. Nobody was talking about anything regarding him and Mox, and now people are looking like, oh, okay, well, now these two don't get along either. Um, and I don't know what is true there. It could be they don't get along. It could be Mox is mad at him now. But I definitely think if Mox was fine with him before, he probably don't like the guy now based off of this.
Tune into the sessions tomorrow to hear John Moxley's comments on CM Punk. Real quickly,
I always retrospective on the Rocky movies, nothing else.
I always had my doubts about Punk coming back even before this, because we know Punk's side. Punk, he wants to do business, and he's like, yeah, sure. Like, he's been online commenting on stuff. I feel there was more hurt on the elite side, that Punk is almost just disregarding of things like, well, I apologized. I've moved on. Why aren't you guys moving on from this? And it can be tough for somebody to move on from the comments that he made. Like, that's a very fractured thing after everything he said in that press conference. I wouldn't begrudge them if they're like, you know what? Like, no, unless I feel a sincere apology out of this, then we can't just forget all of these things. Like, we look at you differently. Clearly you look at us differently. You're not really welcome back here. And now,
Nick got injured out of this too, though. So
yeah, like, it was a lot bigger deal coming from the elite side than it was from Punk's side. And now with everything, it's like, okay, well, clearly he might have some issues with Moxley. We know he has issues with Jericho now, especially the Stooge comment. The Hangman stuff was seemingly pretty unresolved. There's still the elite stuff. Like, there's a lot of people in the locker room, top guys, that are looking at it like, I don't know if all these guys could just work together and do business, because yeah, Punk might be like, screw it, I'll do business. Like, let's make money. Let's work a hot angle. I'm over it. I said what I had to say. Let's all move on. And they're all like, no, like, you kind of just threw us all out there and underneath the bus. Like, why do we want you back here when we're doing just fine without you? Things are going. MJF is another factor here as well. So I was always of the belief that I didn't think he was coming back. This kind of just hardens my belief that he's probably not coming back. But Phil, you did bring up a good point about Tony Khan. It don't really matter what the wrestlers think. They're going to have input and everything, but we know Tony Khan is a big CM Punk fan. And if Tony Khan is like, you know what, this guy boosts our business, he boosts sales, all the metrics are up with CM Punk, put it aside, sit down, kumbaya moment, learn to do business together. Punk is back. Punk's going to be back. Do you think he will actually go to that to be like, I will maybe, I don't say alienate part of the locker room, but potentially alienate part of the locker room of like, CM Punk is good for our business. He's good for AEW business. He's good for my business. We're going to bring him in here and we are going to have CM Punk back, and you guys need to be adults about this and deal with it. Do you think Tony Khan will actually go to that length?
I think that he's probably looking at the bigger picture here. And he also pretty clearly likes the guy. He hasn't said anything negative about Punk since any of this happened. And the other thing that I keep thinking about, and I said this on Grapsody, if you're looking around like, all right, well, we were a few decisions away from keeping Cody Rhodes. We didn't make those decisions. And now this guy is heading into the biggest match of his career, headlining WrestleMania. Am I going to make a decision to let CM Punk leave here and possibly wrestle somewhere else? That's a valid question he's probably sitting somewhere asking himself. And it doesn't matter if, because I'm sure somebody will be like, well, WWE don't want him. It doesn't matter if he knows that for sure. It's always the if.
WWE might also say, take the Lesnar deal. Come fight Stone Cold at WrestleMania. Get the dream match. Work a couple other programs and call it a day. I don't know if Punk would want to. It's almost like how it sounds like FTR is. I don't know if everybody necessarily views it as, if I'm not at that place, I go to this place.
Yeah.
Punk is doing commentary. Punk has been doing comic books and acting and stuff. I don't know if he continues down the pro wrestling path. I don't know how powerful Steve Kern's book was. God bless it if so. But I don't know if it doesn't seem like Punk was like, oh, if it doesn't work out with AEW, WWE just seems like a dream landscape for me.
Oh no, I don't think that at all. But I do think that it's
And
not
Tony
beyond.
Khan's, yeah.
I don't think it's beyond Punk to use it as leverage, though.
Sure.
I don't think it's a dream landscape for Punk, but I do think he is petty enough to like, okay, sure, I will think about this, potentially do it. And I think Triple H is petty enough to be like, yeah, like we can maybe set some things aside to do a couple hot angles or something and get some money out of this. And the motivation of trying to tear down AEW is certainly there for both men if he's not welcome back to AEW. But Phil, you're right in that.
I can't believe you would say that anybody in pro wrestling, much less those two, are petty. I just think that's a sweeping.
Everybody in pro wrestling is petty. Every single one of us. That's why we're in pro wrestling. I definitely think the leverage part is there. Like Phil said, of like, even if Punk isn't thinking like that, if you're Tony Khan, you have to be a little bit worried that he is thinking like that. And he does go out there and boost their business instead of coming back. Is ROH a factor at all for this? Can they just be like, hey, work the Orlando tapings once a month and then do the big shows? Like, is that a possibility?
Kingston's right there.
Yeah. Eddie
I would
Kingston's
actually
gonna be
love
moved back to AEW.
Yeah,
I think that would be.
Eddie's there, and isn't Colt there as well?
I think Colt is there in some capacity.
Yeah.
He said he was going to be at the show this weekend. So yeah, Colt and Eddie going back to AEW. They'll just make a little trade there. Punk for Eddie and Colt.
Well, Eddie always felt very worked to me. Like that always, whatever animosity was there, always felt very worked. I feel like those two guys seem super aligned in their views on pro wrestling.
Oh no, he don't like Punk. No, he don't like.
See, I would think that
he don't
that
like
Punk. I would think that Punk and Moxley would feel very aligned, and then we get this, and it's
that's true.
Maybe
That's
not.
true.
Like, no, I think Eddie is. I've said it before. Like the most disrespectful thing anyone has ever done to CM Punk is when Eddie just calls him Philip. Like, yeah, whatever Philip has to say. Just that's the most disrespectful thing ever. It pops me so much. I don't know if ROH is a possibility, but can you imagine CM Punk working after like 5 hours of enhancement talent matches, coming out there trying to rile up the Orlando crowd and everything?
Yeah.
Oh, it feels
CM Punk versus Slim J. Book it. Let's go.
That would be weird. It would literally look like Punk going back to WWE and doing NXT. It would look very weird.
Yeah.
I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility for him to do some stuff with Ring of Honor at some point. But if you're gonna go full in and make the decision to work with this guy again, you're not gonna not use him on your flagship show. I just don't see any scenario where you bring this guy back and don't use him on Dynamite at all.
Before I let you both go, Ryan says, for Phil, who throws the coworkers under the bus quicker, Punk or LeBron?
I mean, hey, LeBron ain't throw nobody on the bus. He just told his circuits that Russ is a vampire. He never said anything, right?
Look, if we're going to talk about basketball, we do have to talk about Will throwing bricks on BTA. Man,
we had Will on the show earlier defending the editing. Young Billy was actually made shots, but I told Will he needs to kick in the door at Dynamite to the Elite locker room and start throwing hands with everybody on the Elite. I feel like that works out well for people.
A likely story from Will is all I'm saying.
Shy Sounds First says, can't believe we're never going to get Punk versus Jarrett. What a match that would be. Kate, how do you feel about Punk versus Jarrett?
I mean, if that's not headlining your next pay-per-view, like if anybody needs to, if CM Punk needs to set aside business for anything,
that's your two favorite wrestlers, right?
It is, yeah. I think Punk and a mystery opponent versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. If that's not headlining, I don't know what is.
And Vera says, even though he's a far bigger star, it means way more to wrestling than any of them. Are the Elite now more valuable assets than Punk because of durability? Phil, your thoughts on that?
I definitely think that, because they're younger and they have more going right now, I can see why you would pick them. But then at the same time, like you did do pretty good business with Punk when he was not causing problems backstage and um, getting hurt. And that's the other part that I think is very interesting, and that's kind of why I'm still leaning towards he'll be back. Because the other part about this is we've heard he'll be cleared pretty soon, and I think that's another reason why a lot of this stuff is ramping up, whether it be the negative stuff or him posting stuff on Instagram. And I gotta think, man, that report, if you're moving all out into the city at United Center, who do you want for that show?
The man who sold out the United Center on a rumor, Sean Ross Sapp, is who needs to be on that show. Kate, let everyone know where they can find you at.
Oh my God, a busy week, but you can find me at Miss Kate Fabe on Twitter. Mondays on Select, Tuesdays doing the NXT Sour Grams post show, Wednesdays at the Mark Order Pod, Thursdays I get to talk about ROH, and Fridays doing this week's Supercard of Honor, normally the AEW Rampage and SmackDown show, but very excited to do the Supercard post show. Also on Select for nights 1 and 2 of WrestleMania, we'll be doing pay-per-view post shows back there. So busy.
I heard you big timed the SmackDown and Rampage post show, and you said, nope, I ain't working those indie events. I want to cover the ROH Supercard post show.
That's what
true?
you say, but in reality, Robert DeFelice was like, I'm coming in, I'm doing the SmackDown show. Kate can be on here for 2 minutes, but then she has to get off of it.
That makes sense too. That makes sense.
Joel wants me to tell them about Sundays on Overbooked. I do. Kate and Joel call it in the ring. I don't know if we're doing a show this Sunday, which is why I didn't plug it.
Well, watch yesterday's show. How about that? Watch yesterday's show. There you go. Phil, let everyone know where they can find you at.
I don't know if you can find me on Saturdays on Grapsody anymore because it's getting rough out here, man. I seen my guy Will try and tell me that.
Yeah, I heard Will is taking shots at Seth Rollins. What's going on here?
I heard Will sit there and try and justify known shit poster in our super chats saying that Rollins is a good hand, and I was just like, what are we doing here, man? What's happening here? Why are we doing this? Maybe I'll be on Grapsody this weekend. Maybe we'll record an episode. I actually don't know what we're doing this weekend because all of us will be traveling. I will be in LA. But yeah, otherwise, maybe you can catch me on Saturdays at noon on Fightful's YouTube channel with Grapsody, co-hosted by me, Righteous Reg, and Will Washington. I think you can find my writing some places. I don't know. Probably Bleacher Report or some other place. I don't know.
Phil Lindsey is a writer, sir. One of the greatest comments in FMC history when you told SP3, I am a writer, sir.
Yeah, listen, man. SP3 is. I await the day when LeBron James leaves the Lakers so we can have honest conversations.
He's not a LeBron fan. Yeah,
I know, but it's just that he now wants to make it seem like I'm a bigger hater of this guy because he just wants to defend his fellow Laker. But it's all right when he leaves the Lakers.
Coming back to the Lakers.
Well,
he did. He played last night.
Played. Yeah.
Maybe he should have stayed at home because they lost.
There you go. There it is. In 2 minutes, did they lose? Or like a regulated basketball official game?
No, this was a beating. It was so much of a beating that they unfairly threw Vucevic out of the game.
They did. I didn't agree with that call, and they still lost, even though he was out in the entire second half. Phil, Kate, thank you for joining me here to talk about the other Chicago Phil, CM Punk, the second favorite Chicago Phil, or the second favorite Phil in Chicago. That's what I was trying to go for there.
Chicago's second favorite son.
There you go. Something like that. Phil might be on FMC tomorrow if he's around to banter with SV3 about LeBron James. Otherwise, he's welcome on that show anytime to banter about LeBron James.
Oh boy, if I land in LA and on Wednesday and the Chicago Bulls beat these guys twice in a week,
can you get like a LeBron jersey or something while you're in LA? You gotta take a picture next to like something LeBron-esque while you're in LA. Okay, just take the picture, for meme purposes, you can caption it of like, why isn't this shit in the dumpster or something like that? You can caption it with that, but like for meme purposes, you got to take a picture of something LeBron while you're in Los Angeles, Phil.
I don't know, man. I know Pat Beverly is going to have the time of his life if he beats the Lakers and the Clippers on this trip to LA. But if I make a trip to LA and I look back and see that Chicago Bulls have beat these guys 2 games straight,
Phil,
gonna be a rough week.
Phil, find somebody wearing a LeBron jersey. I imagine there will be a lot of them, and stomp on their foot and be like, "Now you know how your hero feels." Just
I heard it pop.
Foot stomping. Yeah, just go around doing foot stomps to people. This is what I'm encouraging. Phil, Kate, thank you.
Gonna stomp on somebody's foot and say, I heard it pop.
Yeah, there you go. Phil, Kate, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Everyone check out all their great work that they do. Thank you for talking CM Punk with me here on this unnamed show that I'm randomly doing on a Monday. Now, everybody, it is WrestleMania week. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to just WrestleMania, but there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the independent world of wrestling during WrestleMania week. And joining me for that is Mike from Indeed. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, Jeremy. I have a new microphone, so if my audios are all over the place, sorry in advance.
You sound okay. It's a little feedbacky. Okay. I saw you got the blue snowball, like I feel everybody uses nowadays.
I want to step up and I grabbed the Yeti.
There you go.
But yeah, new mic, finding like where to, because this one is way better than my other one. Like I heard like the children playing outside. I had my window closed. I'm like, how are you picking this up? I can barely hear it. Like, it's better than my ears. So
well, I appreciate you joining us. For those who don't know, Mike does Indeed with Righteous Reg almost every Wednesday here on Fightful Overbooked. Sometimes scheduling gets in the way, but for the most part, they're here every single Wednesday on Fightful Overbooked. And Mike is big into the world of the independent wrestling. They just had an interview with Effie a couple weeks ago. Everyone should go check that out. The interview Mike and Reg did with Effie. And Mike, it starts really on Wednesday with the independent shows. It really ramps up on Thursday is kind of the top show. I believe Bloodsport is on Thursday.
Yeah.
What else is happening on Wednesday and Thursday that you're really looking forward to when it comes to independent wrestling during WrestleMania week?
Like, where do you want to start? I could name all the shows, but we're gonna be here a while. I had to book like actual time off of my day job to try to watch all of this, and then I'm dumb because I booked the wrong days. So,
do you not know when WrestleMania week is, Mike? Who are you, The Rock? You don't know when these shows are?
I'm bad with calendars. It's not good. It's not good. I have to set everything in a Google Calendar or I'll forget. And like I just tried to like go off the brain and I put the wrong days down. So I'm off Wednesday and not Thursday.
The big shows that we have for Thursday.
So there's one show on Wednesday, and it's the reason there's no indie this week. That is pretty. It's a Violence and Suffering VXS. They do some really good stuff, and they have a show on Wednesday where Reg is going to be there, which is why there's no indie. A lot of wrestling companies have liked running in California lately, so he's been going to a lot of shows, which is why we are occasionally on Wednesdays and not every Wednesday right now.
Reg is big timing the show to go watch more wrestling. How dare him?
I can't blame him. I'm doing it a couple times coming up soon too. So, but yeah, no. Thursday is when like the meat and potatoes of everything starts. The collective kicks in, and then so I have a nice little list here. The collective starts Thursday off. Santino Bros has California Love. So you'll see like Kid Bandit on there, Willie Mack, Tyler Bateman, Matt Vandegrift, bunch of California locals. It's kind of like a showcase for the Santino Bros Wrestling School. So you're going to see a lot of their students there, and also a lot of their teachers and past students who have moved on are doing good. Circle 6 is running shows almost every day. They've taken over Knucklehead Hollywood, which They basically have a different show running every hour for almost the entirety of Thursday and Friday. There's a lot of crazy shit on there. They have Lindsey's Knows Cannabis Cup and Minoru Suzuki's Karaoke Jam is on Thursday night, which that sounds like the highlight of the week to me. Like Minoru Suzuki's Karaoke Jam.
What do we think Suzuki sings at karaoke besides his own theme?
I don't. I feel like it's like he's got some like 80s power ballad.
Yeah, I could see that.
Do you have a go-to for karaoke?
Oh, Taylor Swift. I mean, that's just
okay. Yeah, that should have. Yeah, that's
shake it off. I mean, that's my one. But I've done that. I did Blank Space with Denise Salcedo in at All Out Weekend a couple years ago. So yeah, that's my go-to when anything Taylor Swift I'm doing. Easily knock that out. Yeah, I feel like Suzuki is definitely like 80s power ballad kind of guy as well. I could see that.
Yeah, he's gonna bust out some Pat Benatar or something maybe.
Louis says Uptown Girl. Joel Pearl says sings Country Roads by John Denver. Could you imagine?
Wow.
Suzuki singing this stuff. The big shows kind of on Thursday are Barnett's Bloodsport. We got
the Hitchcock
in Japan.
The Hitchcock Memorial Show.
Yeah, and the Hitchcock Memorial Show. Those are like kind of
Hitchcock Memorial Show is crazy. Like the AAA Mega Championships going all over the place on Mania Week. But yeah, the King of Black Taurus and Commanders. So you get like almost a Super Card of Honor preview there too.
Tony's gonna make them work the WWE style of like, oh, Vikingo's down and out, so now you're just getting Taurus and Commander. Oh, Commander's down and out, so now you're just getting Vikingo and Taurus. He's not gonna allow Vikingo and Commander to touch at all. Like if you want to see that match, you got to go to Supercard the next night.
Yeah, that show's wild though. Like also Negro Casas and Ultimo Dragons on that, so mega cool throwback match. I don't know. Josh Alexander hasn't had his replacement announced on the Supercard either, and he was supposed to team up with Tom Lawler against Ryan Keith and Kenta, which that's a dream tag team I kind of didn't think I ever wanted to see until I saw it on paper. I was like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. But
Kenta is a very cool team. There's
also DDT at the Collective that's happening on Thursday. DDT goes Hollywood, so that'll be another fun one. You can kind of get familiar. This is like the preview DDT show before, like, you have two more shows featuring DDT talent on the Collective that are going to melt people's heads.
We're getting Jun Akiyama and Eddie Kingston teaming at that event.
Well. Yeah, they've been on like every side of it with each other now. They've tagged against each other. They've singles against each other. They get to tag together. Eddie Kingston got to check off he's done like Akiyama bingo this year.
The multiverse card. When that was first announced, I think everybody was really looking forward to that. Taking some hits, unfortunately, with Alexander and Ospreay getting hurt. But still, I mean, Tanahashi and Mike Bailey, I'm super excited for that one. We didn't get the originally announced matchup, so it's like, oh, okay. But then you look at the replacements and you're like, oh, this is still Tanahashi and Speedball. I'm like, okay, that's when your substitute for Will Ospreay ends up still being Hiroshi Tanahashi. Like, we're fine. Everything is fine. Everything's fine. Although I have noticed now, like, between Forbidden Door, the first one, and this, it's like, man, these, like, cross-promoted New Japan cards, just, the bad luck always finds a way to strike at, like, the last hour. Yeah. I blame Gato. It's Gato's fault that everybody just keeps getting hurt. When in doubt, blame Gato.
Kenta Minoru Suzuki's low-key, like... I'm ready for that one. I just like seeing people get kicked really hard. I think I watched the Prestige show last night, and latently there's just this part of my brain that is like, oh, that was a sickening impact. I want more.
Nothing wrong with a good kick to the face. I personally love just a great straight kick to the face.
Yeah, go ahead. Go. Ooh. Okay, we'll watch the Prestige show from last night. There was Minoru Suzuki. He put Robert Martyr to sleep with some forearms.
I saw the highlights where he was like knocking him senseless with these forearms, and people are like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Robert Martyr did so great in this match." Like, it didn't look like it right now. It looked like he's got a couple concussions here. I know Suzuki is relatively safe with these forearms and everything, and they make it look a lot worse. But man, he was putting him in there.
He put a beating on that young man last night. It was fantastic though. I'm happy for Robert Martyr because that match, like he is a student of wrestling. He's just constantly watching it and studying, and you know how badly he wanted to wrestle a legend like Minoru Suzuki, and to get that match for him, I'm happy for him. It was like a feel good moment watching it, even though like Minoru is putting the murder grandpa on this kid. So
we're getting Bloodsport has the return of Kota Ibushi.
Yeah, his first match back.
Mike Bailey. I mean, that's a hell of a match for our first match back, and in the Bloodsport setting as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. So that little piece that there was a little blurb that came out from Dark Puro WrestleFlosion on Twitter that they wrote that he wants to, work a little more of like a grounded and more violent style than he used to. Like, what better place to show everyone what you intend to do with your, foray back into the ring now than, if you want to show people a more violent style, Bloodsport's like the place to do it. Speedball Mike Bailey. It's a dream match. Like, the collective is always full of these. Mania weekend, as much as it's like about WrestleMania at the end of the weekend, it's so much about these independent shows that are booked in the area around it and all the dream matches that come with it. Like, you think back to some of the, one day we'll get that Minoru Suzuki and Orange Cassidy match, but that's still the one that I long for.
Tony's got to allow it to happen. Just do it in ROH.
Yeah.
Like, you could do it in AEW. It's not like Suzuki hasn't been in AEW dozens of times. Like, make it happen.
Suzuki's around right now, man. Like, he's over here. It could happen sometime. It would be great. But you get Kota Ibushi coming back. He's going to wrestle Speedball Mike Bailey in a no rope, essentially like pseudo shoot fight at Bloodsport, which also has Mox. Mox is wrestling Alex Coughlin on this thing. Where'd the rest of this go? Oh my god. Yeah, Johnny Bloodsport's going to be there wrestling Royce Isaacs, who keep your eyes on Royce Isaacs. He's one half of a tag team from the LA dojo that he's gonna put some eyes on himself, I hope, with his match with Johnny Bloodsport. Josh Barnett and Timothy Thatcher are wrestling on this. It's a pretty stacked card. Bloodsport last year, actually, the Mox and Biff Busick match, that kind of like that was one of the ones that kind of stole that weekend. And
Bloodsport's always great because it's a different style. Obviously, it is the more hybrid with the MMA, and it's the kind of stuff that, like, when it's done well, and for the most part at Bloodsport, it's done very well. Like, that's the kind of wrestling I really enjoy, the hybrid MMA stuff in there with kind of the hard strikes and then the ground and grappling and everything. Sometimes it's not done well, but again, for Bloodsport, Josh Barnett, he's always spoken of like, we want guys who actually know what they're doing and can pull this off. Because otherwise, like, it just looks hokey and fake, and who wants to see?
And then like late night on Friday still or Thursday still. There's also For the Culture, which Billy Dixon is hosting and running this year, and that's a celebration of Black excellence in wrestling. It's an entirely Black wrestling card. Got crazy matches going on that one. I got Myron Reed and Kevin Knight and Man Like DeReese are in there. Trisha Dora is wrestling Calvin Tankman, which, that's another hard-hitting fight that, could pluck that one off and put it on Bloodsport too, honestly.
And how about on Friday? What are you looking forward to most on Friday?
Friday. Okay, so Friday is like the crazy day. Everything's happening on Friday. There's Jimmy Lloyd's Degeneration F is like early on in the day. Tokyo Joshi Pro is doing a show live in Los Angeles from the Globe Theater as well as part of WrestleCon. No Peace Underground's doing some stuff from as part of the Circle 6 thing. The Collective has DDT versus GCW, which is going to have Pheromones versus Bussy on it, which okay, so if a naked moonsault a couple weeks ago had you clutching at your pearls, Pheromones versus Bussy is going to like shut down the internet.
Oh no. Stay offline for the discourse for this one.
Yeah, it's if you're not familiar with Pheromones, they wrestle. One of them wrestles in a thong, and the other one wrestles in a jock strap. And there is a lot of butt stuff going on. So that's
a lot of butt stuff going on is a great way to put anything.
There will be butt stuff in this match. It's yeah. I don't know what to say about it because it's one of those things where I'm there's like places my mind is thinking it'll go, and then I'm like, nah, I don't know. But I don't think I can actually imagine what I'm going to be seeing when this match goes down. It's SP3 said it best there.
Watching DDT Judgment 2023,
Yeah.
I had to stop after watching their match. There will be butt stuff in this match. That's I don't know if you need a better selling point than that. Everybody.
No, I don't think you really do, honestly. But like that it's going to be pretty crazy. The whole afternoon though and evening for this is like it's going to be a lot of me trying to watch two screens and realizing that I'm going to have like this is where my like, oh shit, how do I cover all of this? And I have to start scheduling when to watch replays goes on in my brain because the Friday Night Log Jam has Prestige Wrestling's Nervous Breakdown from the Globe Theater, which that card alone is crazy. Masha Slamovich versus Aja Kong, Taya Valkyrie versus Miyu Yamashita, Michael Oku versus Titus Alexander. You've got Tom Lawler, Royce Isaacs, and Jarrell Nelson, Team Filthy, taking on Alex Shelley, Kushida, and Ultimo Dragon. And then fresh off of getting his ass handed to him by Minoru Suzuki last night, Robert Martyr laid out a challenge for Timothy Thatcher. So he got the shit beat out of him by the Murder Grandpa last night, and now on Friday he's going to get twisted up into a pretzel by the British Sacramento dude. Like that. And then also at the same time as the Prestige show is happening is when Supercard of Honor is on. That card is...
That's absolutely
like
stacked. Claudio Eddie, Samoa Joe, Mark Briscoe, the ladder match, Vikingo against Commander.
Okay, so Vikingo and Commander is I'm like living for Friday right now. I'm just like, Lord, get me to Friday. I need to see this match. The laws of space, time, and gravity are going to be defied by two men battling for the AAA Mega Championship. Like actual, easy contender for match of the year potential sitting on that one.
Tony Khan just announced it, which I think everyone saw it coming if you watch ROH television. Yuta and Shibata is now official for Supercard of Honor. So,
yeah. Oh yeah. We, that card's so stacked that we listed off all those matches and casually forgot to just throw that in there as well.
Yeah, that one wasn't like technically official until literally just now. Tony Khan just announced it. But if you've been watching ROH TV, you
heavily implied.
And also official now.
Oh, and Yuka Sakazaki versus Athena too for the ROH. Like that whole card's crazy. What are you doing? ROH honestly has been like my favorite thing as far as like televised wrestling stuff, like, with a good production budget goes. I've enjoyed ROH, I think, more than any like Dynamite, Rampage, Raw, Smack, like any of it. I think that's been my happiest product right now for me, just in terms of overall enjoyment. Fantastic 4 weeks of TV now.
And then
spring break is after all this.
Yeah, spring break. We got
Spring-
Kota Joey Janela.
Yeah, Kota Ibushi versus Joey Janela, Vikingo versus Speedball Mike Bailey. So so same night it's Vikingo and Commander, and then Vikingo and Speedball.
Yeah, just back to back, like Vikingo, crazy
Sure.
man. Just like, you know what?
Crazy.
We'll wrestle Commander in 1 hour, and then a couple hours later, we'll just wrestle Speedball. It'll be fine.
I'm sure Mike Bailey's wrestling some crazy shit that day too, honestly, though.
Yeah. He always just keeps like a busy schedule with everything.
Yeah. His collective last weekend was his WrestleMania week last weekend was, it was like eight or 9 matches, I think, in like 3 days.
He's so humble about it. Like, we interviewed him shortly after WrestleMania weekend, and I was like, he did like 20 matches over this weekend. He's like, well, now calm down. His sweet Canadian accent. He's like, calm down now. Like, yeah. He's like, it was only like 9 matches in 3 days. Like, we don't have to over exaggerate. It was already a lot. You're right, Mike. It was only 9 matches against these people. It was not 20. Sorry, Mike Bailey. The nicest person in the world, Speedball Mike Bailey.
Yeah, spring breaks bananas though. Joey Janela versus Kota Ibushi. So Kota Ibushi's 2 matches are, we've got, between that and the collective, or between Bloodsport and spring break. And then also another one that was announced is the East West Express, Jordan Oliver and Nick Wayne taking on the Motor City Machine Guns for the GCW tag titles.
That's gonna be great.
That'll be another awesome match. Maki Death Kill, which is Maki Ito and Nick Gage, will be taking on Bussy at this show. Vikingo and Speedball. Oh my god.
I'm really glad that Jordan Oliver got his match against Motor City Machine Guns. He said that he really wanted that. So it's really nice that him and Nick Wayne get that match against them. Yeah. That's going to be, he's talked about how Alex Shelley is like kind of taking him under his wing. So really look forward to that match.
Yeah, that one actually too that one's kind of been a long time coming, because there was a triple threat at a GCW show in Detroit a few months ago now. And you had Alex Shelley versus Nick Wayne versus Jordan Oliver in this triple threat in Detroit. And at the end of the match, Alex Shelley was, these guys are the future. They're amazing. I got to have a match with them, with Chris Sabin. Ask the crowd, what do you think? And of course, everyone's like, yeah, fuck yeah, we want to see that. Why wouldn't we? We're not dumb. But, and then Saturday, sorry. You see, I got the days mixed up like crazy. I'm so bad with calendars. It's insane, Jeremy. Sunday, though, another good day. Gringo Loco's World on Lucha is technically on Sunday because it starts at like 3 a.m. Eastern. And that one's got, again, if you like all the insane Lucha shit, got Laredo Kid versus Vikingo on this one. This guy, Tony Deppen, taking on Negro Casas. So look out for Lucha Tony Deppen. He's trying to get on the show every year. The Indie Wrestling Hall of Fame is on the Sunday. Inductees include Christopher Daniels, Excalibur, cheerleader Melissa. I can't remember everyone else because I didn't.
Mike Modest.
Thank you.
Mike Modest is the other one. And then there's one more who I'm also blanking.
Yeah.
I apologize for.
And then, of course, on Saturday as well is Effie's Big Gay Brunch. We talked to Effie on Indeed a couple weeks ago. Go watch the interview. You'll get a lot of great info on the history of Big Gay Brunch, as well as, booking the show, his thoughts on the Indies, thoughts on, maybe some WrestleMania participants. Definitely didn't say anything wild and or unhinged at all during the interview.
Definitely didn't say anything about Cody Rhodes and his run or anything.
No, he definitely didn't.
Paul London is the other person going into the Indie Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And Big Gay Brunch, you've got Steph DeLandre versus Sandra Moon. That was my alarm for my meeting at work. That was my alarm for my afternoon meeting at work that I would have had today, but I'm not at work today. Kid Bandit is going to get tossed around by Sawyer Racket, Big Gay Brunch. You got Thrusy, which is Pussy plus Dark Sheik, taking on Charles Mason, Pero, and Billy Dixon. Yeah, take your pick. There's like a bajillion shows on this week. You need 3 sets of eyes to watch it all, or a very free early part of next week to catch up on all the replays. I've subscribed to 2 additional services beyond what I would normally pay for, so I could actually get all these VODs available to me. It's going to be crazy.
Last one for you before I let you go. And I know this is a difficult one to narrow it down, but one person coming out of this weekend that everybody's just gonna be talking about. And it could be a name we already know, or it could be someone who, hey, we don't know quite as well, but everybody's gonna be talking about this person coming out this weekend.
You know, it's just tough because, like, normally I'd say it was going to be someone who's on multiple. It's probably Vikingo, honestly.
Yeah.
If I had, just for as many different shows that he's on, or, you know, alternatively Kota Ibushi, depending on what this new style that he's apparently going to be, you know, trying to lean more into ends up looking like, you know. Between those.
When Kota Ibushi wrecks Mike Bailey's face with elbows, it's everybody's going to be talking about this man. Mike Bailey is no longer one of the most handsome men in professional wrestling because Kota Ibushi just sliced him up with some elbows.
That's what I mean. Like, Vikingo is wrestling on a large number of shows across a bunch of different networks. So there's going to be like even if people are only watching Fight or only watching High Spots or only ordering pay-per-views, everyone's still going to end up getting a chance to see him at some point. And he just does mind-blowing shit always. But yeah, Kota Ibushi, you know, bringing this allegedly, you know, more violent style with him. And then, of course, there's like the safe bet, too, of Speedball. Mike Bailey is always a safe bet for putting on dynamic matches with any opponent, really. Him and Bandito, I think, last year was, you know, still stands out to me as like the match of the weekend from the Hitchcock Super Show. For sure.
Mike, I appreciate you joining me. Let everyone know where they can find you at and where they can support you at.
Well, you can catch me with Righteous Reg most Wednesdays on Fightful Overbooked, discussing indie wrestling. You know, give you some matches to check out every week, a GIF of the week, let you know what shows you can check out. You can find me on Twitter at Mike is Indie. Other than that, not up to much, but, you know, if you want to talk about wrestling with me, I'm always open to doing some shit. So get in my DMs. Thanks for having me, Jeremy.
Of course. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for talking about independent wrestling. There is a lot of independent wrestling this week, everybody. You can go to IWTV, High Spots TV, Fight Plus, Fight TV. There's just so much independent wrestling across a bunch of different streaming services. And we will try to cover it all that we can on Fightful. But whatever we don't cover, the results or anything like that, watch Indeed with Mike and Reg. They cover independent wrestling, not just for the biggest week of the year, but every single week out there on Indeed. Mike, thank you again for joining us. Everyone go check out Indeed. All right, everybody. One more topic to hit today. We've covered the saga of CM Punk. We have covered the world of independent wrestling during WrestleMania week. But WrestleMania week would not exist without WrestleMania, right? It's a fact that whether you like it or not, you have to live with it. WrestleMania is the biggest show of the weekend. It's why everyone gathers in this one spot for the weekend. And it is the first WrestleMania under this person, under the person who is the favorite booker of my next guest. I'm pretty sure he believes this man is the booker of the year, the booker of the century for this person. It is SP3 to praise the great Triple H, Paul Levesque. How you doing, buddy?
I am here to preach the gospel of Paul Levesque, terrorizing Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Triple H, The Game, the Cerebral Assassin, the King of Kings.
A lot of nicknames.
a lot of nicknames, a lot of different different monikers he's been under. But yes, I am here to talk all about. I mean, everybody else got the good topics. Like, you got to talk about, how all Chicago Phils are haters and petty. We got to talk about, how independent wrestling is going to be thriving, going to be so strong this week. I wanted to talk with Mike from Indeed about Indie Mania, but you got me here talking about Claude Paul and him having the black band, like it's the Titanic. Like, nothing's going on, guys. The ship's not going down. We got the black band playing. Don't worry, everything's all right. And that black band is called the Bloodline, while everything else is fire going on. Everybody's burning. Everybody's drowning. But he's just like, the black band's still going to play while everything's going down.
Well, SB3, I wanted you on to talk WrestleMania because, we do a silly show on this channel every Tuesday called Tag Talk. That won't make sense to anybody unless they do watch our silly show, or if they're on video right now, they see the background popped up. We do our silly show every Tuesday. That is no wrestling talk, but we alluded to a little bit of wrestling talk last week. And we honestly together, we don't talk a lot of wrestling. I know you. Thank you for filling in on the spotlight last week while I was away. But we don't talk a lot of wrestling when we're together. So I wanted to talk to you about wrestling, and I wanted to talk to you about, as I said, none of this is possible without WrestleMania, right? You got to admit it. Like, all of these companies converging on this weekend, it doesn't happen if WrestleMania isn't as big as it has become. And then all of these independent shows come in, and they've helped make this entire week that much bigger, but it doesn't happen without WrestleMania. And I want to talk to you because now I can openly and freely on this show talk about Mr. Triple H and his booking with someone. This is a plan by me, someone who agrees with me, because I took this take from you because I agreed with you. Man, when Triple H got power, everyone was like, can't wait to see what WrestleMania is going to look like with Triple H. Just can't wait to see what he's going to do. Rumble season, WrestleMania season, first WrestleMania. It's going to be so great under Triple H. If you had told me that the other person was still booking the show and it was not Triple H, I'd be like, yeah, I believe it. Here's a thrown together Brock Lesnar match that doesn't seem like it makes a whole lot of sense, but it's almost. So we love almost. We love our big tall guy. Here's the women just like kind of there, but not really doing a whole lot. And here's showcase matches for tag team wrestling. Here's the same story with Asuka and Bianca that we literally saw 2 years ago with Bianca and who shall not be named by WWE because they can't say it. It's the same stuff. There's nothing. The stuff I will give Triple H credit for is the Bloodline, which I don't give him too much credit for because that's largely Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns pulling the strings on what they're going to do there. But at the end of the day, if he wanted to nix a lot of stuff, he probably could. He is at least smart enough to be like, whatever you guys want to do, go for it. I think the Rey and Dominic stuff, that has been a very long burn and that has been very good and paced very well. And I imagine his hands have been very much in that pot. So I give him credit for that storyline as well. These other ones, I ain't feeling a lot of this stuff outside of, hey, it's WrestleMania and it'll be good, but the build just hasn't like hit me. Is there anything? Am I being too harsh? I know you're probably the wrong person to ask about this, but like, is there something of like, you know what, this is actually good. Let's give credit to this when it comes to WrestleMania.
You have to realize that I felt like I was screaming into a void for like 4 to 5 months now. Because I gave Triple H, I was like, I give him credit, 2 months, 3 months in. I was like, he was able to jump over the bar that was in the center of the earth that was set by his daddy-in-law. And he was doing better than him. He had more wrestling. He, fleshed out some stuff, gave people back their older roles. Kevin Owens to the prize fighter, Nikki Cross lost to the Sanity version. Asuka becoming Kana again. Dewdrop becoming Piper Niven again. All this good stuff. It was good. It was all fine and dandy. But once we got into WrestleMania season, I tell you, when I really was just like, all right, I got to turn up my criticism, because my criticism was very minor. I was nitpicking stuff, but I was just like, okay, overall, though, he's got one of the best storylines going of all time in WWE history with the Bloodline. I couldn't give him that much credit because I've said it once, I'll say it before. We have to give equal amounts of credit to Triple H and to Vince McMahon, because Vince McMahon set the table for him, and he was the first one that was just like, Paul, Roman, do what you want to do. And that's more astonishing that Vince did that more than Triple H. Triple H is understandable that he was like, Paul, Roman, pace it however you want to do what you want to do. That's understandable, and that was expected. But for Vince to start this 2 years ago, before Triple H ever came into power, that's why I said they deserve equal amounts of credit, but most of the credit, I agree with you, goes to Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. 100% of the credit I will give him for Rey and Dominic. I said it on Twitter earlier today. That is his brainchild. That's the big success of the Triple H era. But when Triple H came into power last summer, everybody was like, "Oh, it's Triple H. You saw what he did with NXT. He's the savior of women's wrestling. He is the Martin Luther King of women's wrestling. He can do it all. He can do it all. Tag team wrestling. You remember the Undisputed Era, memories. You remember DIY. You remember the Revival. That was all Triple H. It's gonna be all good for the tag team division, all good for the women's division, and he has done absolutely nothing with each of those divisions. I actually have people argue with me saying that, the tag team titles, the Usos got both titles, acting like you can't have tag team feuds without the titles involved. You actually can do that. I've seen it before. I've seen it done. You can actually do that and build up other tag teams. So maybe this WrestleMania showcase would mean something, but he hasn't done that. He's put some tag teams together. He's added more tag teams. Not a lot of them are over, but it is what it is. The women's division is the biggest thing, and I feel so vindicated that not only Jeremy is calling out Triple H, but Ronda Rousey is calling out Triple H and the nonsense that he has been doing with this women's division and the lack of creativity. I heard Kate say it before over on the Sour Grass podcast talking about NXT, but this goes across the board for WWE. How dare they call a whole department creative when they've done nothing creative with the women's division? They built up 2 people, and the logical thing to do was to put those 2 people in a match at WrestleMania. The 2 people that they built up in the entire Triple H era the past 8 months is Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. And the turning point for me turning up my criticism of Triple H is when he had the layup of Rhea Ripley picking Bianca Belair, and he was like, I'm just going to shoot this ball from half court. Charlotte Flair. Oh, and everybody was like, oh, yeah, the story's there. We seen the story. They did this. They did it 3 years ago. We understand Triple H didn't like the result, but they did it 3 years ago. They did it again 2 years ago when Rhea won the Raw Women's Championship and she feuded with Charlotte Flair. They did that story, but no progression of that story at all. They had one brawl that got a reaction. Then this past week, we heard one of the worst Charlotte Flair promos of all time, where she basically turned herself heel. It felt like I was listening to Saraya before Full Gear when she turned herself heel. It was the same thing with Charlotte Flair when she acknowledged those what chants and let them get to her and got booed, and all she got was woos as a result. That was horrible. Rhea Ripley, the heel that is thriving on the women's division, is facing heels on Monday Night Raw like Bayley. Don't get me started on Damage Control. Becky Lynch is one of the most over women that they've ever had in the company. She's thrown into a six woman tag where she's the least person in her matchup that the people are going to be interested in because she has 2 Hall of Famers on her team. It's baffling how this is the same guy that booked NXT. And I said it on social media, I'll say it here. Maybe it was the fact that on NXT, he could use Asuka 1 week, take her off the next week, then she'll come back the week after that, and she could do the same thing, but it's been 2-week gap, so it makes sense. But the fact that he's had to book these people week after week, that's why we get Asuka doing the same thing with Bianca Belair 4 weeks in a row. I just
Holla-
can't believe this is the first WrestleMania under Triple H. This is astounding.
Holla makes a good point here. I still think people need to compare NXT Triple H main roster Triple H to ROH Tony Khan, AW Tony Khan parallel. They 100% are, because Triple H at the peak of like Triple H booking was when NXT was the 1 hour show, taped. He could get it all bulk done. Didn't have to worry so much about, you got to hit this commercial break. You got to hit this out. You got to worry about this time. You got to worry about this rating and this quarter hour and everything. And Tony Khan has said this. He said this in the press conference. LeBron Phil had asked the question about the difference between ROH booking and AEW booking. Tony's like, yeah, like ROH is just a lot simpler because I can just write down all these matches, do them, and not have to worry about so much. Where AEW, and this is the same thing with Triple H and WWE, is like, you got to hit this out. You got to hit this quarter hour. There's obviously a lot more like egos and stuff involved when it comes to this stuff too, main roster compared to NXT, especially around WrestleMania season. As far as Triple H goes, the women's division has been the biggest miss to me. The absolute biggest miss is the women's tag team titles. Like, brought them back. Oh, great. Immediately botched with Aaliyah and Raquel Rodriguez winning for no reason. Absolutely no reason. They're not even a team anymore. Aaliyah's not even on the show. I don't know what's up with her. I hope she's well, but like she ain't even around anymore. Raquel is now teaming with Liv, who like was on fire at a point last year, but now she's teaming with Raquel. And then the tag team titles, they're on Becky and Lita, which is great, but they're not even defending on this show. Like, it seemed like maybe they were going to do the 2-night thing. Becky kind of alluded to something in that weird interview that happened over the weekend. Maybe they do that. They face the showcase winner, but the showcase thing is like, hey, here's these random teams we've thrown together. I don't know if Natalya is a face or a heel from week to week at this point. Here's Ronda and Shayna, who I imagine are going to win the showcase thing. So we get a Becky and Ronda match somewhat, but not the match we wanted a few years ago, and now it's way cooled off to where, hey, it doesn't even matter at this point. Oh, that Charlotte and Rhea thing. So let's have a discussion about this SB3. It seems like that's going to be the night one main event. That's what it feels like they're leaning towards, because as Dave put it, politics. Other people might put it just history. Oh, they didn't have women last year, so they need to do it this year. Oh, you want to have the Rumble winners, whatever the reasoning might be. This is so stupid. Book your hottest stuff as your main event. And your hottest stuff, clearly Roman and Cody, which will be the main event in night 2, and then Usos, Sammy, and Kevin, which should be the main event of night 1. I imagine that'll open night 2, but it should close night 1. And it's a complete misfire for that not to close, because I don't think the people are invested that much in Rhea and Charlotte. And it seemed pretty obvious they weren't invested in it, because they were whatting Charlotte on Friday. And you mentioned it. She's turned herself heel. Rhea, who's clearly a heel, clearly a jerk with Judgment Day and ruining Rey Mysterio's life and everything. All of a sudden she's facing Bayley and Damage Control, who are also heels. This story is all over the place. Makes no sense. And the way they try to build interest to this, and people fall for it every single time. I see it on my timeline. They fall for it every time. Brawl. Big pull apart brawl. Nothing gets people riled up like that was a great segment than a big pull apart brawl. It's like, you guys are blind by this. Like, absolute blinded by just, oh, they're fighting each other and they need a bunch of people to pull them apart. Everyone's just like immediate thumbs up. This is great. This adds a lot of heat. And it's like, no, it doesn't. It really doesn't. I don't get it, but this is how they're trying to heat it up. Hey, look, Louis, I'm not even mad at this. You want Ray and Dom to main event? I'm cool with that.
Wouldn't mind that at all.
That pop Ray got when he hit that kid, oh, that was bigger than anything else on SmackDown. So yeah, I ain't even mad at that main eventing. It should still be the tag team title match, but pull apart brawl, SV3. This is how you heat up anything. This is the friggin' microwave, the pull apart brawl.
This is how Tony Khan hates up stuff. This is how Triple H. You remember when Triple H first got into power, what he would do like every week? We would have Riddle and Rollins having a brawl. Rollins and Cody had a brawl in there. It's like it's so funny that people fall for it every single time. And that was the only way that this whole Charlotte and Rhea got a reaction. And man, like, do you know the crazy stat of that feud is that since winning at the Royal Rumble and announcing she's facing Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, Rhea Ripley has had a total of 4 matches on TV or on pay-per-view. She had 2 matches on SmackDown, the 1 match with Bayley on Raw last week. She had the 2 matches on SmackDown were against Liv Morgan and I think it was the mixed tag match with her and Dom versus Santos and Zelina. And then, of course, she had the 1 loss, which was at Elimination Chamber to the young upstarts of Edge and Beth Phoenix. So
she should have pinned Edge. Jarrett Bailey mentioned that she should have pinned Edge.
It's just like, dude, like, and it's like everybody's gonna be like, oh well, at least it's better than how Vince would have booked it. That should stop. That you are handicapping Triple H by that being the barometer, that being the measuring stick.
But this is honestly how people have learned to praise Triple H. Is all he had to do was jump over, as you pointed, the bar that was in the center of the earth, and people are like, Triple H is the greatest thing ever. Oh, he gave a name back? Oh, he changed a name? Oh, he brought this person back? That's all. He didn't actually do anything with any of this.
Don't get me started.
There was no great explanation for some of this stuff. It was just like, he's this person again, which is fine.
Don't get me started. Him with the people he brought back is like Shaq at the free throw line. Like, it has been the worst percentage I have ever. People wanted to talk about, oh, Tony Khan signs all these people and they don't always hit. Yeah, they don't always hit, but at least Tony Khan's like 50% from the free throw line. My man Triple H is like Shaq shooting threes. He's not even Shaq from the free throw line. He's Shaq shooting threes. He took 100 threes in his career, and he's made like 1. Like, in his 1 that I could have said months ago was the hit that of his whole re-signing is not even going to be on the card due to illness, and that's Bray Wyatt. And that jumped the shark at the Royal Rumble. So literally tell me the one person that he signed that has been a success, because I don't know if I see it anymore. I know the people that he's called up or he's changed that has been a success. Moving LA Knight from Max Dupree, that was a success. Calling Solo Sikoa up to the main roster, that was a success. Seth Rollins is a little bit more over than he was prior to Triple H coming in. Kevin Owens is the prize fighter. Sami Zayn has some focus. Those are all great, but Triple H has done so much better with the people that were already there in comparison to the people that he's brought back. It is amazing to me that people don't make a bigger deal out of this.
I was trying to see of like, oh yeah, who is actually working for Triple H that he has brought back. And looking at the card, and I'm like, wait a second, like none of these people were just people that he brought back. Like Dakota is the only one that was like a rehire, maybe kind of sort of EO, but not fully EO because she wasn't officially gone like Dakota was. Dakota's the only person that was like a rehire that is actually on this card. Your Garganos, your Karrion Crosses. Remember, he came in and was like immediately in the title picture too.
And I love the excuse was, oh, he didn't bring all these people back to be main eventers. My dude, you brought him back in a segment with Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. What are you talking about? You were trying to make him a main eventer, and it didn't work. Just say it didn't work.
I mean, Braun is there in the showcase with Ricochet, which it feels like even Braun, like I'm not the biggest Braun guy in the world, but like he beat Omos. We need the shoot fight between Brock and Omos, or Brock and Braun. That's what we need, stemming from the Rumble a few years ago.
He was so over when he brought him back too. He was
all these guys were.
He was getting big pops, but it was a little longer for Braun, and then they just said, we'll just put him in the mid card.
All of these guys got big pops when they got brought back. Like Gargano, man, he's unrecognizable with what he's doing right now. It's just he doesn't get any reaction, unfortunately. I like Johnny Gargano. Loomis, it's Bronson Reed is allegedly still with the company doing stuff and things. There's just like stop and start stuff with Ali. It just misses. SP3. Just
It's
misses.
misses. I mean,
Anyway,
hey,
watch WrestleMania this weekend, everybody.
3 out of 12 matches I'm interested in. At least he got that. Well, no, 4 out of 12 matches because I like the
Okay.
IC 3-way. The IC
Okay,
3-way,
let's.
the 2
Yeah.
bloodlines, and Dom and Ray. Those are the matches I'm interested in.
The Intercontinental title 3-way is going to be really good. I don't think there's any doubt about that. 3 just excellent professional wrestlers. The build to this hasn't like lit my world on fire. Look, it's largely Gunther is great and he's held the title for a long time, which is completely fine by me. Sheamus and Drew and their bang bros, but now they're not banging bros type of thing is it doesn't like completely hook me into anything. I hate because it was so predictable. The finish of it's a singles match, and now we're all gonna attack you and do a DQ, and now it's a triple threat match. Would have honestly much preferred if they did that 4-way and Sheamus and McIntyre won the same way, and then Gunther was like, I don't give a shit. I'll beat the hell out of both these men. They both want this title. Come on, let's do this. Like Gunther feels like he should be a badass and just be like, yeah, triple threat match. I'm fine with that. But you know, they went the direction that they went. I guess triple threat matches are not sacred, while singles matches are. Maybe that's Gunther's argument of everything. But the match should be great. I'm with you on that. I'm very much looking forward to that match. The rest of it, there's some good stuff. It'll be good, right? Like,
yeah,
everybody nowadays is just a good professional wrestler. There's nobody like if you're not good, like you really stand out that you're not good. But as far as like hooks and what you're saying, man, this Finn Balor Edge thing.
I sometimes forget that's on the card.
You should, because it's been going on for a year now, and I don't feel like it's progressed anywhere. We've had Edge beat Balor in the tag match. Balor beat him in the I Quit match and everything. I've had no interest in this. Edge has been doing the same thing for a year. Demon Finn's gonna return. Cool, whatever. Like it ain't hitting it with me that much. Ain't hit with me.
I mean, I'm just hopeful that Finn can finally win in this feud because, like, I love the Edge promo that set up this matchup where he talked about all the evil things Judgment Day did to him, and all it was the Extreme Rules match where they hit his wife with a concerto, and he said, "I quit." But he already got revenge for that when he eliminated them from the Royal Rumble and then beat them in the mixed tag match. Like, it was just like, dude, you've won already. What are you the one challenging?
They kicked him out of Judgment Day. They kicked him out, though. It doesn't help that whatever, kayfabe's dead, but they kicked him out of Judgment Day. He should be really mad about this. And then he's doing out of character interviews of like, Judgment Day is great without me. It was actually, honestly a terrible idea because everybody wanted to cheer me anyway. So they're doing fine without me.
I mean, those promos were bad when he was trying to get hometown heat.
Awful.
Oh man,
his floating head promo this past week was the worst thing I've ever seen. That was what was happening with that. I've never been an Edge guy. I know Will Washington talks about always being Christian. I've always said Christian was better. Check the tapes on that one years ago with Christian being better. Man, this Edge stuff is exactly. Look, this Edge stuff not for me at all. Not for me at all.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. I was so happy to see Edge back in January 2020, but man, they have not done much with him. He spent a whole year injured and in a feud with Randy Orton. Then he spent a 6 to 7 months feuding with Roman Reigns, coming back, leaving, coming back again. Then he spent 3-4 months with Seth Rollins, which was the peak of his whole return run. And now he spent the whole year feuding with Judgment Day.
We got the great John Cena. He's back. We got Logan Paul. There's your 2 celebrities. 2 celebrity matches for the event. Do we think John Cena wins? Do we think John Cena wins this match?
The only reason that I have pause, because I was really just like, all right, I definitely think Austin Theory is going to have to win this after Cena verbally pulled his pants down and said he had a little dick. But I was like, I after they made it the night 1 opener, it makes me believe that there's a chance that John Cena is going to win this, and then they'll probably transition it to maybe someone new debuting or someone getting called up on the Raw after.
John Cena should win. Triple H has been very cowardly with his booking because he didn't put the title on Sami Zayn, which he should have 100% done. Caden makes a good point. Cena's winning, dropping the title Switchblade on Raw after Mania. I don't know if Jay White's coming in, but if you want to make Jay White mean something immediately, you have him beat John Cena on his first night. I don't know if it will be Switchblade. I do agree with both of you. Cena should win, do the open challenge. Here's what they should do, SB3. Cena wins, do the open challenge. Austin Theory answers the open challenge, right? Cena beats him in 3 seconds because who cares about Austin Theory? And then we get a real challenger coming out, and that person beats John Cena. Whether it's Jay White, whether it's Carmelo Hayes, if you want to call him up, even though I think he's going to win NXT title. If you want to,
I think it's Braun Breaker.
Yeah, Braun Breaker. Whatever you want to do, whoever the person is that you want to bring up in that position or bring out in that position to beat John Cena, bury Austin Theory a little bit more first. Just have him lose at Mania, competitive match, and then Raw after Mania, come out again, answer the challenge, and then lose a non-competitive match. That's what I want.
I mean, hey, I'd be all here for it because, man, I'll never forgive Triple H for it. He had another. I can't go into how many layups, how many slam dunks Triple H had, and he just decided to pull up from half court. Like he is Carlton in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the way he's been shooting these shots. Like you wanted to split the titles. Well, you had the idiot Austin Theory character have the Money in the Bank. You could have just had him cash in on one title instead of both titles, and then that's how you separate the titles. You have a babyface pin him instead of pinning Roman, and then separate the title. No, he didn't do that, and we got the worst cash in of all time because idiot Austin Theory cashed in on a mid-card title that was in an open challenge that he could have just accepted. He didn't need to use.
That's fine though.
No, it's not.
This was great.
It's not. None of this is
great. No, SV3, it led to this new heelish Austin Theory where he's not going to take any grief from anybody anymore. He's got this edge to him. They love the edge to the characters. They love edge as well. I was fine with that. Let Austin Theory fail.
And then John Cena just ruined all that work.
John Cena wrecked that man. Wrecked him. And you know what? If Austin Theory does win, by the way, and he does have to come out there the Raw after Monday, and he's got to give his promo, and the crowd's most likely going to very heavily boo him. I don't know if he gets whatted. I feel like he might just succumb like Charlotte Flair did. At least he's a heel already, so he's not just switching in the middle of his promo. But, man, Austin Theory just doesn't look like super comfortable on the mic in front of the live crowd. And maybe it's because he was out there with John Cena. Like that's going to intimidate everybody. But I noticed it the week before Cena came back, and I said it. I was like, you're going to put this guy out there with a live mic with John Cena. It ain't going to go well for him. And it didn't, because he didn't look comfortable just in a backstage segment, just talking about Cena. Couldn't imagine what actually was going to happen when he was going to be face to face with Cena. And it didn't work at all. Logan Paul. Here's
decimated.
Here's one. Here's another one for you guys right there. Okay, Cena wins open challenge. Logan Paul answers the open challenge. Logan Paul defeats John Cena on Raw. You get the U.S. title on Impulsive. He's going to all these whatever events. He's carrying around that U.S. title and everything. I feel like they might do Logan Paul, John Cena at some point. I don't know if you need the U.S. title, but there's another just random throw it out there idea.
I think that's SummerSlam. SummerSlam, they do Logan Paul versus John Cena, and then that's where Cena is going to put over the fresh young talent of Logan Paul. Logan Paul, the future undisputed champion. Can't wait for it. Can't wait. But I think Logan Paul and Seth Rollins has actually been pretty decent feud, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if Logan Paul wins. But I think Seth's going to have to win after taking so much crap this whole build-up.
Bless Seth Rollins for selling that just awful-looking right hand the way he sells it. It looks so bad, but yeah, Seth sells it like he's been concussed. So Seth is one of the best. Anybody who hates Seth, I don't get it. Yeah, he's doing God's work by carrying that Logan Paul feud. Anything else from WrestleMania? And we didn't get into like the Cody and Roman stuff. Cody's winning.
I mean,
right?
Yeah, I mean that seems pretty obvious. I would love for the Twitter outrage if Roman Reigns was able to win and get me to May 27th, because May 27th I marked it on my calendars. That I'm looking forward to May 27th even more than I'm looking forward to May 18th, my birthday. May 27th, when Roman Reigns becomes the 1,000-day champion, because I've never been able to see that. I was like 1 year old when Hulk Hogan lost his 1,000-day reign, so I wasn't able to see it with my own eyes. I need to see the 1,000 days, but no, Cody's gonna win. Hooray for Cody. He solved racism, he solved friendship, and now he gets to win the championship with no adversity at all. This is so unlike Cody's whole story. Whole story is about him overcoming. It's been him overcoming adversity, and now he just gets this red carpet to the Undisputed Universal Championship. This is just so the antithesis of how Cody got here. It just baffles me as someone that I was a Cody fan until he flipped me off at Manhattan Mayhem 2017 in Ring of Honor. I will always mark that down because I got reminded that was the show that he flipped me off in the front row after giving 2 sweets to other people of a lighter complexion. But we won't get into that. But Cody's
this
gonna
hurts
win.
You so bad. This hurts you so much.
I let it go after All In. But you people brought it all back to me. But yeah, Cody's gonna win. I think like you said before, I think it's a shame what they've done to Bianca Belair, who they've built up as this female John Cena, and then she has a nothing feud going into WrestleMania, but she will deliver with Asuka.
Yes.
I think she retains at the show. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all. And Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, as someone that watched them in 2007 in Ring of Honor with a couple of hundred other New Yorkers, and I watched the feud in front of me that really put them on the map with them and the Briscoes. And just a few months after Jay Briscoe passes away, they're going to finally win the WWE Tag Team Championships. I think it would be magic if they did it with a Doomsday Device or the Jay Driller. So give me that tribute, because Jay Briscoe was so important to their journey. I would love that as a little added bonus. Or the package power driver into the Brain Buster, which used to be Steve Jericho's finisher in ROH.
I think they bust that out. I do think they actually bust out the ROH finisher. Maybe the Doomsday Device. Maybe see them go on that route, because they can play it off to the bigger audience as it's a LOD move, but if you know that it's a Briscoe's tribute, and maybe a little bit LOD tribute as well. All right, SP3, thanks for joining us, buddy. Let everybody know where they can find you at.
You can find me on the Twitter machine at TrueHeelSP3. Go to the True Heel Heat YouTube channel. My new interview with Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Champion Chris Bay is up. One of the funnest times I've had in an interview. Like, I have 2 back-to-back interviews with Chris Bay and Trey Miguel, and it just felt like I was talking to 2 of my friends. But the Chris Bay interview is very good because we talk about him being the first African-American in the Bullet Club. He said he wants to get a bust-out chain version of the Bullet Club because that's what we would do. So Impact, get on that. So check out that interview. It's up right now. And I'll be back here on Fightful Overbook tomorrow morning. Special time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. Me and Jeremy talking everything but wrestling. So cherish this moment where we do talk about wrestling on this channel.
Yes, there's going to be a lot of wrestling talk that you're going to hear from everybody in the world of wrestling over the next week plus with the fallout and everything. So SP3 and I are going to bring a little levity to the world of wrestling by not speaking about it at all on that show, because it's the one time a week we get together to just put the wrestling behind us. We're in this bubble so often. We like to get into our trash reality TV, an NBA bubble. SP3 will respond to Phil Lindsey and his comments made on this show today, tomorrow on FMC. There's a possibility if Phil is around, he will be on the show tomorrow as well. I'm not going to surprise you. I'm letting you know right now, if Phil's in the chat tomorrow, I will bring him on and you guys can have your LeBron James debate, whatever it is. That was a bad loss yesterday.
It was. And I said it was because we were trying to integrate LeBron back. See, I'm nothing but honest about LeBron. I am unbiased, unlike Phil Lindsey. Phil Lindsey is established. He put out a whole post. Oh, I don't believe this. I was like, yes, known LeBron hater. Phil Lindsey doesn't believe something LeBron said. Color me shocked.
Guys, thanks for joining us today. Thank you to all of my guests, from Will Washington, who popped on out of nowhere to defend his child from BTE editing and show us his dishes, from Caden, who is as useless as he always is, from Sean Ross Sapp, who he didn't do much on this show. I don't know why he came on this show today either. Phil and Kate talking CM Punk, Mike talking Independent Mania weekend and week, and SP3 talking some WrestleMania. It was a lot of fun. I mentioned that, I had this idea to do a wrestling radio show kind of thing. I don't think I could pull it off daily, but you know what? To something maybe every other day I could possibly do. Bring in a bunch of my friends, bring in some wrestlers, kind of do a sports talk wrestling show. We'll see what happens. Let's get through Mania week first, because it's about to be a very busy week for myself, for SP3, for everyone over at Fightful. And hopefully, if you're not just working tirelessly like we are, you're enjoying all the wrestling that is going on. Because I know, even though we have a lot of work to do, SP3, we are also going to take time to just enjoy how blessed we are to cover professional wrestling and just celebrate this week as wrestling is celebrated throughout this week. Guys, thank you for all the support. Thank you for the super chats. Leave us a thumbs up on the video. If you're watching on demand, leave us a good review on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast, please. And thank you for everything. Keep it locked to Fightful Overbooked. Keep it locked to Fightful. Go check out True Heel Heat. Go check out the YouTube channel. All right, everybody. We love SP3 over here. SP3 and I will be back tomorrow talking not wrestling. Otherwise, a lot of wrestling talk this week. Enjoy WrestleMania week, everybody. Bye, everybody.